corporate recruiter here to review your resumes. The resume we have up first is a data scientist. Just to let everybody know, I review non-tech resumes as well, but tech is in a giant dumpster fire right now, so that's what most of the resumes that are sent to me are. So for a data scientist, I need degree, Python, R, SQL, data in all its forms, so data modeling, data analytics, etc. Industry, so again, I cannot be in every industry, but as long as I can tell what industry you're in, and you probably have like 1 or 2 tools for that industry, you should be good. I need to see that you can explain stuff to non-technical folk. That is huge. That you can influence stakeholders and work cross-functional. ML Ops for some reason. I don't know why, but that was a very common qualification. Microsoft Office apps or Google Sheets, so both of them work. A little bit of AI, Spark, Skibbity-Learn, Pandas, and NumPy. Again, the biggest problem with a lot of data scientists is they fill it to the brim with AI, and it's like, you're not that's not really what we need. We need some AI, but the rest of it is more important. And dashboards and data visualization. So, is this a good or bad resume? Well, this person, we don't know. So you can tell how good your resume is by its ratio. That is how many applications it takes to get an interview. If it takes you more than 50 applications to get a single interview on average, it's a bad resume. If it takes you less, it passes. That's a good way to think of it. We don't know this person's ratio, but they did tell me to roast it, so as hard as you can, so I will have no mercy upon this resume. So, recruiters only have 20 seconds to find what we need, and that's it. So, go. Okay. Oh, formatting. Hate. Degree. Okay. Engineered reproducer ETL pipeline using T-SQL and Python. Okay. Ingesting by reducing data rich. Why do I care about that? Built proof of concept, Power BI. That's actually okay. Into historic storm impacts on maintenance, identifying potential improvements. Okay, that was it. I only got like 3 sentences in because its formatting is terrible. So, first things first, again, your formatting's only purpose is to let me read more in 20 seconds. That is it. The more chaotic, the more confusing, the more bolded everything is in your formatting, the less time I have to actually read your resume. That is a problem. So that is one point where this definitely fails. What you want to use instead is this formatting, and it should look like this, okay? This is how you do it. It's on my website. The link is below. It's free. This is what it should look like. I don't care if you're an accountant or a barista or a software engineer. Your resume needs to look like this. So the second part is this is written for an audience that is not there. But let me read what this person wrote before I trash the rest of it. So, newish grad, didn't do typical summer internships due to declaring data science major later, and now I'm in the early job search post-grad, 25 apps in. Okay, that is not enough to determine it yet. Feel constantly like I have less ability and experience than everyone else, not sure to best showcase skills. Ideally would like to target healthcare and pharma. Okay, so there's a couple of things wrong here. One, there is a misconception that you need to show that you are better than everybody else to get a job. And that is both a true and false statement. It is true in that the interview, you need to prove you are better than everybody else. You do need to stand out during the interview. That is 100% truth. You are competing with other people. You have to prove you're better. But not for the resume. You actually don't want to stand out during the resume process because that is not what a resume is for. A resume shows that you meet the bare minimum qualifications of a role. And the problem with this one is it does not show that they meet the bare minimum qualifications of the role. How do you know it meets the bare minimum qualifications of the role? This stuff. You need 75% of it. And if you notice, I only found SQL, Python, Pandas, Power BI, which I'm counting, R, and that's kind of it because this was written poorly. So I don't see enough stuff to move you forward. So here is how you need to change it and why this fails. This is making the assumption that the person reading your resume knows your industry. And now right now I can hear the typing of people right now where it's like, well, the recruiter needs to know, the needs to know. Why don't they know? Well, no, that's not the job of the recruiter. I know that sounds insane. But the point of the recruiter is to work multiple roles in multiple different industries at the same time. As an example, I worked in an oligonucleotide scientist role. I had 3 of those. A data scientist role. A 3 different software engineering roles, a sales role, a sales manager role, what's it called? A lab technician role, not an accountant. There was another lower, small entry level role I'm trying to think of that I can't remember, but it was in the financial space. Then another couple of sales roles and a bunch others. And that was all at the same time. And if you are expecting the person reading your resume to be a master of every single industry ever, well, you're wrong. That's not what it is. And I want to also be clear, recruiters don't just look for these. These are managers. This is what the manager wants. So what you need to do is go back to the drawing board, fix your formatting because it's awful. Should look like this. Like, why is this all bolded over here? Why is all of this bolded? You ingested for 4 sources. That's completely irrelevant. I don't care that you reduce data retrieval time by 70%. I just want to know, like, what industry you were in and how you worked with stakeholders. Like, build a proof of concept, visualizing insights into historic storm impacts on highway maintenance, identifying potential improvements in performance for business stakeholders is almost how I would want that to be written. What I want you to write is created Power BI dashboards for our stakeholders so that they could visualize insights into impact on highway maintenance and identify performance improvements for performance. But also, I want to be clear, that's not explaining technical concepts. That's creating a tool. I need you to say, like, explain highly technical concepts to our business stakeholders by using blah, 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 blah. You have written this too technical. And then we go down here, pioneered development of 2 new performance metrics on storm, blah, 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 across functionality with business, including research. So while I do care about this, this is not the related part. What part of this is here? Where's the Microsoft Office? Where is you explaining complex topics? I guess this would be counting as industry, but where is you influencing the stakeholders? Where is you using data analytics or data modeling? So this is part of the problem of why you're not going to have that much luck, is you're writing this for an audience that does not know. You need to make your resume simple. And you may call recruiters idiots, and that's fine. You may call HR idiots, that's fine. But don't call us idiots and then write your resume for somebody that needs a master's in your subject, because we only have 20 seconds. That 20-second thing is not like this is what that is what good recruiters do. Because if you spend more than 20 seconds on a resume, you will get fired. We don't have the time. So I need you to go back to the drawing board. I need you to remake this for an audience that is not technical. And I need you to focus on this stuff, because you kind of bury them. And even when you do tell me a little bit about what you do, you tell me all the way at the end of the sentence. This stuff should be in the very beginning of the sentence, because that is the stuff that matters. Not 70% impact, not 2 new performance metrics, not 78% accuracy. It's this stuff. This is the important stuff, because this shows that you meet the minimum qualifications to go to an interview where you can explain the more complex stuff. So that is all I can do for this data scientist. I just want to thank everybody for watching, liking, and commenting, and subscribing. I really do appreciate it, and sharing this video with people that you need help. I want to help as many people as I can. And I also wanted to thank all my members who are, they get access to videos a little bit early. Thank you very much. And if anybody needs any more help, they can always join my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. PST at twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter. That is where I get these, and I help people out a little bit more, like this person who is currently in the stream. But for everybody else, we're going to the next resume. This is a machine learning engineer. What we need in a machine learning engineer is degree, machine learning, ML. You want to make sure you write it like that the first time in your resume, and then you can put ML for the rest of it. LLMs, so like OpenAI, Claude, Llama, LangChain, LangGraph, although LangGraph would probably be more on the other side. MLOps, CI/CD, containerization, Kubernetes, Cloud, SQL, ML frameworks, so like PyTorch, TensorFlow, Python, R, Cloud, ML, pipelines, NLP, and then how you can influence people and explain complex topics. Again, this is one of the biggest things that most people will not put in their resume is explaining complex topics to non-technical people. And part of the thing is, like, this is also why it's not good to write your resume for somebody that's non-technical, is you're kind of already graded on that through your resume, right? Like, if you can teach a non-technical person to read your own resume, you can do that very well. And that is a core part of your job, because everybody wants to do the fancy stuff, but half your job is going to be telling the CEO the equivalency of why they can't do X because it just doesn't work like that. Or basically, you know, you're going to get a master's degree and you're still going to have to tell the CEO how to turn on their monitor. Then I want to see production grade ML systems from start to finish. So basically 0 to 1. Those are pretty big. So this person has a bad resume. It's about 100 to 1 ratio. So could be worse, but still not good. So I'm expecting to find maybe 20 to 30% of what I need, or the formatting is so bad that I can't find it. So 20 seconds on the clock and go. Okay, degree, good. Developed and deployed a full stack Hugging Face based on contract summarizer and matching using integrating query parsing optimizations, fine-tuned BART. I don't care about BART. Using simple shooting accuracy and precision. Don't care. You don't want to put percentages. Developed a retrieval with NumPy for Python and React, boosting precision. Okay. So yeah, there were a couple of things I needed and a bunch of other stuff I didn't. So this is probably a 1 in 100. Let me see what this person says. I've been applying to jobs for about 6 months. I've only received about 5 to 6 interviews after applying for about 400 jobs. So yeah, there's like an 80 to 1. Several times my resume is selected by the recruiter and they send it to HM, but the HM rejects it. Yeah, because you have too many percentages. They mean nothing. Let's see, but the HM rejects it and I don't proceed to the interview. I'm primarily focused on ML engineering role, but also backend and Python and Java and experience in Rust. It would be great to know how to improve my resume and get past the hiring managers and recruiters to land an interview. Thank you for your help. So yeah, part of the problem here is this is, oh wow, actually there is another thing I just saw here that was a failure point. So before I go into that, you actually made a critical error that I just looked at, and this is a big one, and you don't have the months. You don't need to tell me the month you graduated. That's fine. You don't need to tell me when you started, but for dates of employment, you need the months. This is a giant red flag. This is actually the biggest red flag in your entire resume, because 2024 to 2025 could be 2 years or it could be 1 month. And I'm going to tell you how that is. If you started this job in January 2024 and you left it in December 2025, that's basically 2 years of work experience. But if you started that job in December of 2024 and you left it in January of 2025, that's about a month to 2 months of experience. So anytime in your work experience section, you have a date of employment or project or internship, although sometimes you don't need it for project because projects are projects, but for internships and full-time roles, you need to put the months. If you do not put the months, you will immediately come off as suspect. So put the months. Second, you just said USA, which maybe you just did for me, and that's okay, but you need to say the state you're in. Otherwise, a lot of people will reject you. Relocating is a red flag. Unless you are stating in the resume that you are moving to X by Y, can move sooner, it's a red flag. So those are 2 immediate red flags I found. Now, on to the bullet points themselves. They're not bad, but they're not good. A big thing is you have a lot of stuff here that is a little too much, right? Like here. You have some of the stuff I like, Hugging Face, but then contract summarizer and candidate matching. The problem is, what is a full stack contract summarizer and candidate matching? You don't actually tell me what that is. You just make the assumption that I know, and it's possible the managers don't know. And then down here is you actually have slightly too many based on this. Like, I don't need React, right? Like, I know you can do backend as well. The thing is, a good backend, let's just say, what stack were you? You were a Python. Like a good backend Python developer resume will fail to get a good machine learning role and vice versa. So you do not want to mix in your too much of the Python backend into this or full stack. You want to make it very clearly machine learning based. So here, again, this is kind of okay. It's still, you don't need React. I don't know what contract summarizer and candidate matching is, nor dynamic query or backend optimizations. Those are not needed. I need to know what you did, though, and you don't tell me. Here, though, fine-tune BART, don't really need. Mini LM, again, don't really need. LLMs I do, using PyTorch, which you already mentioned here, so it's irrelevant. In Jupyter Notebook, I don't care about that. Again, you're like, nothing here is relevant. This entire thing has nothing that's relevant. Developed with NumPy, okay, but you already mentioned this earlier, so again, nothing here is relevant. And then SQL down here. So your big issue is you only have a semi-okay first sentence, and then the rest of them repeat information besides SQL. I need you to go back to the drawing board. I need you to fix these, right? And I want you to instead say, created a full stack app using machine learning, blankety blank, and then you can put, I guess, Hugging Face or whatever, Python, PyTorch, and RESTful APIs. No, I don't even need RESTful APIs. Python and PyTorch to create a whatever it is you did, which you did not tell me. Then down here, I need you to tell me, well, how you explain these complex topics to non-technical folk, which you kind of already failed at because you made the assumption that they know what this means and they don't. And the reason you're getting a lot of interviews and then the manager's rejecting you is probably because of this, and the recruiters missed it the first time. And two, you don't actually tell me what your project is. You don't tell me anything about it. You don't tell me if you started it. You don't tell me how you finished it. You don't tell me, maybe even the number of users is a small percentage you could actually, or number you could use, but I don't know what you did. I've spent like 5 minutes looking this over and nothing here means anything. And the managers are the one that do not understand, not just the recruiter. Developed, employed, backend using AWS service, Kubernetes, optimizing Python logic. See, this at least is like understandable to somebody in that space. This is not. Although you really have to stop with all these percentages. That is not impact. Unless you are in sales or a manager, like a director, you do not want to put percentages. Percentages are going to hurt your chances. The only thing that I think you could get away with a number in general, not counting the dates, is again, how many users you had, because they like to see that you had like a production grade system, which not everybody has, to be clear. So that is partly why the recruiters are passing this, because this looks okay to an untrained recruiter, but the managers are looking at it and they go, this is junk. So make those changes. First off, stop this red flag, make sure you're in the area, and then make it understandable to the manager, because right now this is not. They don't know what you do, because they're going to assume that you are hiding what you did, because you don't tell me enough about what you actually did. Next, resume. This is, I'm not actually sure. They just said software engineer, which you can't do. Again, you need to pick a stack. If you don't pick a stack, you're going to be in for a very bad time. But I think I saw a full stack here, so I'm making the assumption that this is full stack. Let me read their note first. Normally I like doing that after, but again, I don't know what they are. I haven't applied to jobs in a year. This is a new resume I made based on your videos. When I was applying for internships, I got really horrendous callback rates. Hopefully the change I've made will help me get more frequent interviews. Okay, so first off, remember, pick a stack. I see JavaScript HTML here out of the corner of my eye, so I'm making the assumption that it's full stack. What we need for full stack is TypeScript, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, React.js, one of those, Node.js, Angular, Next.js, SQL, or NoSQL, MongoDB. Also, probably MySQL works too. Like, you have any of the SQLs, you're fine. RESTful APIs, REST APIs, Cloud, CI/CD, Git, and then a backend language, so .NET, Python, or Java, and a bonus points for any of that stuff. So the first thing here before I start is, on my form it says U.S. citizen. If you are not a U.S. citizen or green card holder, don't put citizen of that other one. You do want to put in a very brief summary how they can work with your visa. So you don't want to just say citizen of X, work visa holder. You have to say in a very brief summary, basically saying, any company can work with my visa, blah, 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 just so that they know they can actually work with your visa. So with all that being said, let's find if I can find this in 20 seconds, which I don't know, maybe it's full stack. And go. Degree, good. It created a carbon tracking web app for cloud projects using HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Tailwind. That's okay. Set up CI/CD pipelines is good. Azure, Agile Framework, cross-functional teams. Estimated cost. I don't care about the cost. Refactored. Okay. Built LLM automation for lane graph agents. Good. Okay. It's not bad, actually. So again, this is the big part you want to change. I think a bigger issue with this is, first, your formatting. Every bullet point needs to be one sentence. It can be a long run-on sentence, but it still needs to be one sentence. Second, carbon. You mean like carbon monoxide, like in the atmosphere or something? This is still a little unclear about what it could be. But you could just say created a web app for our cloud projects, and then you can say using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You already said CSS. Don't put Tailwind CSS. It's very rare for somebody to ask for Tailwind CSS compared to regular CSS, so just delete this. And Python, Flask, APIs. So that would be okay. Implemented authentic using this I don't care about. Then this, set up CI/CD pipelines with automatic testing in Azure and followed an Agile framework in a cross-functional team using Azure boards for faster, safer cloud deployments. Fantastic. I actually have no notes. That's a very good bullet point. This could be safely deleted, though. Again, it doesn't matter that it costs $13 a month. And then here there is basically nothing besides RESTful API that I need. So you need to redo this sentence. Again, it's not bad. I just need a little bit more. Also, where is the SQL? Yeah, you need SQL. They all ask for SQL. You need SQL. Then we go down here, and I actually really like this, right? I don't care about the percentages. I like that. I don't really care about chatbots. Managers don't really care that much about chatbots, but I do like the fact that you use lane graph agents. So this is okay. I think right now, assuming not the visa issue, this would get you probably a 1 in 50 to a 1 in 75. But I think you can make some changes, again, clarify it a little bit better, make these single sentences, remove some of the extraneous stuff like this 13 per month or whatever this is, and tell me a little bit more about the details. And once you fix this, I think you'll have a relatively okay success rate. Again, the visa candidates are always going to need extra help, unfortunately. A good ratio for a citizen or green card holder is like a 1 in 7 to a 1 in 15, which a lot of the times after people follow my advice, they get. The problem is for a visa candidate, a 1 in 30 is fantastic. You just don't have as many options. So if this is for a full stack role, this is okay. I just need a little bit more of these, a little bit less of the extraneous stuff, and the sentences to be a little bit better. But overall, this is the best resume I think I've reviewed this video so far. Let's go to the next one. This is a resume of a financial analyst. So what we're looking for in a financial analyst, that I just spelled wrong, is degree, Microsoft Excel, pivot tables, lookups, macros, PowerPoint, Word. And I'm going to repeat that because that was in almost every single job description. Every single job description required you to show that you had advanced Excel, that you could work with PowerPoint, Word, and some other Microsoft Office applications. If I don't see that, I am going to have to reject them. So I don't care how basic that is the core tenet and requirement. I also need to see that you meet deadlines and you can multitask, that you can work cross-functionally with customers, teams, stakeholders, and influence them. I don't want to just see that you can only talk to the CEO. I want you to be able to talk to everybody in the company and you can change their mind. I want to see how you proactively solved problems with data, and nice to have is SAP and Teams. And that is kind of it for the financial analyst. I looked at a bunch of jobs and that was That was it. So this person's ratio is 100 to 1. So again, this is probably going to do some things correct, but a lot wrong. And let's see if I can find it in 20 seconds. Go. Okay, don't care, can't use anything here. Where's your education? Okay, you've got it down here. And then supporting market expansion by opening 85 new accounts monthly. What? Okay. Supported the launch of a new branch requiring 20 clients. I don't care about the percentages there. Leverage CRM. This is nothing. Partner with bankers and advise to deliver elevated client. What does that mean? Elevated client experience. You told me nothing. All right. What did you tell me here? I'm seeking an entry-level business position post-grad. Okay. So you need to delete the resume and redo it. Again, use this formatting. Your education should be at the top. I don't need to know when you started. I just need to know that you graduated. And this should still fit on one line. The problem is I found nothing I needed here. Remember, I can't use... Oh, I actually didn't cover that this video. Okay. Here is what we're looking for, right? Recruiters are looking for qualifications. A qualification is not a keyword. These down here, which I don't think people can fully see, are keywords, but they are not qualifications. So the difference is a qualification is a keyword plus how you used it, plus the reason or result of you using it, plus where you used it. If it's not those four things, not counting years of experience or education, you do not meet the qualification. And that is what we're looking for. That is why skills sections and summaries don't count. They don't tell me where. You gave me the context, you did not tell me where, and that is what I actually care about. Here, though, you don't tell me the how or the reason or result. Or the what. Actually, you tell me the reason or result. You don't tell me the how you did it or the what. So none of these are good bullet points. What do you mean supported the launch of a new branch acquiring 20 clients? Why do I care about that? Why not 100 clients? Why not 1,000 clients? Regardless, none of the job postings I saw listed you need 20 plus clients to get an interview. You know what they did say? They said, can you talk with stakeholders and customers, which you kind of did here. This is almost saying that. They said, can you use Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, which you don't show me that you can. I don't see that anywhere here. I'm assuming it's all the way at the bottom in the skills section, but skills sections don't count. You can't use anything there. You don't tell me how you proactively solve problems with data. You don't. You tell me almost nothing. This is part of the problem, is you tell me nothing. You need to give context, all right? I don't care if you're a barista or you're a financial analyst or you're a software engineer. You need to tell me the context behind what you did. That context is a qualification. Acquiring 20 new clients through warm outreach isn't the context. I don't know why you needed to do that. I don't know if that's impressive. I don't know enough. You don't tell me. You cannot assume by looking at this in 20 seconds that we know what it is. Your only good sentence is basically the one that I highlighted, which is partnering with bankers, okay, they're lower in the company, and advisors higher in the company to deliver client experience, okay, but like, what experience? How is that important? Was it about what experience? I don't know. So you don't tell me you can use Excel. Again, skill sections don't count. You don't show me that you can use PowerPoint, Word, or Teams. You don't show that you can meet deadlines or multitask. You do semi-show that you can work with cross-functional teams, but you don't tell me how you can influence them, and you don't tell me how you solved problems with data. That is why you're having trouble, is because you don't tell me any of that. You need context. You cannot just shove some resume in a face and say, here. It would be the equivalent of someone asking, what does a recruiter do? And I tell them, we get people jobs. How do you get people jobs? We get people jobs. Okay, but like, what do? I call people. I get people jobs. It is, if you're dating right now, it's the equivalent of seeing I like music or food on a dating profile. That is so broad as to be non-useful at all. And again, I'm now married and I'm very happy, but I remember when I was on the dating apps that so many people just had I like food. And it's like, okay, but liking food is not a personality trait. And in this case, advising bankers is not enough of context to tell me I want to move to the next level with you. So that is your problem, is you don't tell me these. You shove it all into a skills section and think that counts, but it doesn't. I need the context. The manager needs the context. Next, resume. This is a resume of another financial analyst. So this person's ratio is even worse, but what we need is the same as last time. Basically MS Excel, which I'm assuming they did not put on, but that is super critical. So yeah, let's start in 20 seconds and go. Okay, degree, good. I don't know if that's needed or not. So orchestrated the startup sourcing lifecycle for a target VC thesis, gathering and validated business requirements to identifying investments and narrowing the funnel to high. That's not what? Visualize complex marketing data using Tableau and Power BI to create dashboards. Again, I'm not looking for a data scientist. I'm looking for a financial analyst. And I already ran out of time. Yeah, okay. This is a financial analyst. Yeah, there's like nothing here. All right, let me see. Is there any Excel at all? Okay, Excel's all the way down here. Is there any other Excel? Advanced Excel, Excel. Yeah, again, the skill sections don't count all the way at the bottom. I mean, my problem with this is just that there's nothing here that I would be looking for. Like, this is closer to a data analyst than a financial analyst. Like, you don't tell me how you used Excel. You don't tell me how you use PowerPoint and Word. I mean, it's nice you have Tableau and Power BI, but that's not a requirement for a financial analyst. And again, here's part of the issue is I need to know how you can explain stuff complex to people. But even in a financial analyst, they're not even asking really for like explaining complex topics. They're really more asking like, can you work with these people? And creating, a dashboard isn't showing that you can work with them. It's showing that you can create a dashboard. Conducted exhaustive market research using SQL, uncovering 50 million the directly informed. See, this is relevant. I don't know if the 50 million is relevant or not, but this is at least relevant, which shows that you are proactive. Collaborate with directors. See, again, this is partly good. I just don't have enough. You're trying to brag. And anytime anybody tries to brag, unless it's in pure sales, it doesn't work. So let me read what they wrote. I'm an MS in finance student specializing in quantitative analysis. Have a deep passion for building data-driven models. Okay, so I want you to remember. Okay, I'm trying to think of a way to say this. I want you to think back to school, right? You maybe just graduated. You're about to graduate. And I want you to remember those complex topics that you talked about how important it was to get the correct data, about how you needed to have everything absolutely perfect, and arguing with other students about the data itself. And I want you to take that memory, and I want you to bury it deep inside, because none of that is relevant for writing a resume. All right? I need you to remember that the people you are talking to, the people that need a financial analyst, cannot turn on their monitor. They do not know how to Control-C, Control-V in Excel. So when you show that you don't show how you've used Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint and Word, they are going to make the assumption that you don't know it. They are going to make the assumption that you only mention directors and VPs, so you don't know how to talk to people lower on the company, which you need, such as the customers. They're going to believe that you don't know how to explain these complex topics to them. I don't see anything about meeting deadlines. I don't see anything about meeting multitasking. I do, and I want to say I think this is pretty solid, right? Uncovering a 50 million market opportunity. That this part is good, right? This shows that you were proactive, that you used the data, right? This is actually pretty good. I need, like, you could just put Excel here. But what do you mean directly inform the firm's investment strategy? Like, you could just say that changed our firm's investment strategy. That's fine. The problem with this is you've written this for your other students in your master's program. Those are not the people that are reading your resume. The people that are reading your resume, they want to know that you can use Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Teams. That was in almost every single job. Like, seriously, almost every single one. That is critical. They want to see that you can meet deadlines, which I don't see. They want to see that you work with cross-functional teams, customers, stakeholders, and influence them. And I do see that you did directors and VP. The problem is I don't see how you influence them, and I don't see that you worked with other people in the company. And your formatting's horrible. So fix your formatting. Make it look like this. And then write this stuff, because this is the actual important part. And I imagine you are on a visa, which is already going to take your chances. Like, again, a 1 in 100 is pretty solid for a visa candidate. That's just how bad it is for visa candidates right now. Spearheaded the design and deployment of interactive financial dashboards using advanced Excel and Power BI to identify and cure revenue variances leading to a 50%. This is too much. You know what you should have said instead? Used advanced Excel, and then you could put pivot tables, VLOOKUPs, macros, PowerPoint, and Word to create financial dashboards for everyone in the company that let them understand whatever it is you did, which I don't. So you need to remember who your audience is. You can't just go about info dumping all this stuff on your resume. It's not going to work. And it's not just the recruiters, it's the hiring managers. We even saw in the previous resume, they were getting passed through the recruiters because they info dumped, but the managers were like, where's the Excel equivalent for that? So that is the lesson for all of you. Remember, your audience may not be able to turn on their monitor. We do not know the context of your life. The fact I like tacos are great, but I could not put I like tacos as something on my dating profile when I was dating, because that is not enough information to move forward. So I want you all to think of it like that, and your ratio should definitely increase. So that's all I can do for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and send it to your friends and family that need help. I want to help as many people as I can. And if you ever need more help, you can join my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. PST at twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter. And I just want to say thank you very much to my members for being members. I appreciate it. You get access to videos a little bit early, and I will see you all in the next resume video. Next video. Bye.